We're all posted.
Ciao, ciao, everybody, and welcome to the giant episode 47 extravaganza that I'm not selling too much here on Giallo, Ciao, Ciao, the Giallo show. And I'm Creep with Eric and Chris as
Hi.
the Peruge. Hello!
Yeah, hi, everyone.
And
I didn't bring my
tonight,
hairbrush to this party. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I have the silencer on my gun, and there's only 5 bullets in it. So,
I got my can of Coca-Cola to drink.
your giant can of Coca-Cola?
Yeah, I'm not going to pour it over my body or anything.
But
That's just a
also,
waste.
did you warm up by swinging 2 baseball bats at the same time?
Yeah, always. But come look at this warehouse I live in that has absolutely no better bathroom, but it has the jukebox.
Was that up to code? I don't think it was.
No way.
Tonight, we're doing Chris's favorite movie, and his pick,
No, second
Profumo.
favorite. Second favorite movie.
You know what's funny? This is a little bit of a spoiler, but you know that there's only 2 movies on Giallo score that say skip it?
And they're both... No, wait. No, didn't Eric pick the other one?
Eric picked the other one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were going to say I picked them both. Or, I mean, Creep picked them both.
Me
Channeling
Creep?
Creep, yeah.
Are you Tarzan? Me Jane?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What was the point you were making?
No, I just thought it was strange, because there's a whole lot of movies on your site that I would say to skip.
Yeah, well, listen, not everybody has the same tastes in movies. Some people have good taste and some don't. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree that my taste is good.
Some people like to drink Coca-Cola out of armpits and belly buttons. Whatever. Don't harm me none. Sit on toes. Wow, that was like seriously one of those things. I'll just say this. I forgot how visually stunning this film was, let's say, when I brought it up again. So there's a part of me that wants to apologize, but I know that 98.99% of our viewers are men, so I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a safe zone.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, so if you guys haven't caught on yet, tonight we are going to discuss the wonders of the film that is known as Profumo, or AKA Bizarre, or AKA Chris's Other Life. And it's a really fun little jaunt from 1987 and from a porno director. So if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, then put on your shoulder padded jackets, because you're about to go for a ride down to Pound Town.
Mm-hmm.
Population U. All right. So let me. Are there any updates or anything that the listeners need to know about?
How was everybody's Halloween?
Very
It was
spooky.
epic.
I spent it with my roommate, and he likes to scare a lot of the kids away before they're able to get to the door to get some candy. I found it very rude of him, so I told him, Lester, please, you gotta let them at least come up to the door before you start screaming and laughing at them. But he didn't listen, so I had to throw him back down here in the basement.
Come on, Lester.
He's so scary.
He is.
He is. It's his one night of the year he gets to get out of the house, so...
We had a little bit of a party here, and one of my neighbors put crime scene tape up in front of the building. And most of the kids didn't come up because they thought there was a crime scene or something. We had all these decorations up, and probably only every third group of kids actually came. Like, they would duck under the tape and like walk through everything. But I had my TV out back, and we were watching trailers of stuff all night. It was all sorts of fun. Barbecued, cooked some wieners and some patties. Gave everyone shots, got everyone super drunk. Everyone was throwing up except for me and like 2 other people. And I spent the last 2 days cleaning up. So it's been a fun day, or a fun weekend.
I imagine your wife got the wildest out of all of them.
Not totally, but pretty damn close.
Yeah. Well, that's very brave of
It's
those
not
kids
good
to
to be-
duck under crime scene tape. I mean, imagine if it had been the other way around.
What if I was ducking under crime scene tape to go find kids?
Yeah, well, I was thinking if they entered your apartment and you were like cut in half underneath your couch or something.
Oh.
Bloody old mess.
Oh, if it was a crime scene. Yeah, that would have been awful.
Yeah.
But I was Frankenstein, and Zoe was Bride of Frankenstein, and she had long, drapey stuff on her dress, and she kept walking next to the fire. It was very scary. Constantly yelling at her.
Yeah.
Telling her to get away from the flames! Fire bad.
Yeah, what were you doing near the fire, Frankenstein?
Really?
I was just trying to save my whiff.
Oh.
But whatever. Chris, what did you do? Did you blow anything up or
No.
train or anything?
No, we did pretty much a pretty epic marathon kind of trick or treat thing with the kids because they're old enough now that they don't get tired quickly, and so it was like the whole neighborhood. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 10 kids in ages anywhere from 3 to 10 walking around, and all the parents walking behind them pulling a wagon full of beer through the neighborhood for about 2 hours. And that was after we had some party stuff. It's kind of cool because it landed on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So you really were able to recuperate the next day. And I managed, this is one of the first times that this actually happened, because, or since I had kids anyway, I managed to stay up late enough to watch an entire movie without falling asleep. Yeah. And that started around 9:30. So I ended up watching, of course, I had come up with all these ideas for all these different movies I was going to watch, and when October starts, everybody starts in the horror circle starts saying, "Oh, you're going to watch another movie every night, a different horror movie," and I would love to do all that stuff, but it just doesn't happen. So I ended up watching the original 1978 Halloween, and I have like a Blu-ray copy of it, and I watched it on a pretty big screen. And that movie, I mean, I don't mean to be like so cliche and so, run of the mill, because it's kind of stereotypical to watch Halloween on Halloween, but that movie is like perfect. There's nothing wrong with that movie. I love every second of it. I don't know.
Yeah, it was really good when Mario Bava made it originally.
Oh, okay. Doesn't even come close.
Moving right along. I'm sorry. No, Halloween's a great movie.
I mean, there isn't a single part of it that I don't. You know how some parts of horror movies you're like, okay, I can kind of, go on autopilot while this part is going on, and I'll pay attention again when it changes. Like Halloween doesn't seem to be like that. I love the whole beginning part with Jamie Lee and walking down the street and the girls and the school and all that weird stuff, and that Steadicam shot when they're walking home, and the shape behind the tree, and then the shape in the clothesline, and oh man, so awesome. So awesome.
I think some people, I don't know if this is Creep's issue, but some people just don't get it if they didn't grow up with the fallen leaves and the crisp autumn air and the pumpkins and all that stuff. And it's just that the whole atmosphere is captured in that film so perfectly for like,
Yeah,
especially
and
like Midwestern for me, but
It's a good
also
movie. I like it.
and they didn't film it in an
that is
area
true.
where they had like a fall temperature, right? I mean,
Yeah,
apparently
No,
they
they
filmed it
they
like
shot it like
Pasadena.
5 minutes down the road. Yeah,
didn't they
Yeah,
have to bring like leaves in like to
yeah.
make it look like fall? That's pretty awesome. So
yeah.
yeah, no, I had a good time. I wish I had watched more. I started watching Trick or Treat, which I really thought looked excellent, but I was just too tired to finish it, so I have to go back and watch
Mm.
that again. That's supposedly a very hip and critically acclaimed anthology that has just come out recently, and I think Eric turned me on to it, but I haven't seen it all the way through.
We got creeps.
I mean, it's no Profumo or Profumo or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's not bizarre enough.
um, I
It's one of
also
those movies that it's good that we watch, but you'll never watch it again.
like Profumo.
Maybe.
Right. You're talking about what are we talking about? Oh, okay. I
Trick
also
or
wanted
treat.
I wanted to also just kind of give some shout outs because there's been a lot of activity going on in our little niche on Facebook. The Movie Matters podcast, they did a triple Giallo um, episode. Black Billy the Tarantula, What Have You Done to Solange, and a treatment of Dress to Kill, Brian De Palma. So check out those guys. That was episode. Does it have a number? No, it's from Monday, the 19th of October. So check that out. Movie Matters
That's good.
podcast.
Yeah.
Also, there is a blogger who put a really awesome article together about the fashion in Jolly, and I thought that Creep would have like
Yeah.
basically blown a load over that article. So
Totally.
we'll give a shout out to Rachel, who blogs at Hypnotic Crescendos, an all Giallo blog, which is updated regularly. So hopefully she gets into listening to us as much as we or I enjoy reading her blog because it's really cool. It's funny to see, what types of people and what, where geographically people get interested in Jolly, and how kind of there's lots of different flavors of people who like this type of film. So it's pretty cool. So
You just like tasting people, you pervert.
exactly.
On the beach.
Oh my gosh. And then you went and saw Ghost play, huh?
Yeah, but I saw Ghost back in September. I don't think we talked about it.
You're just wearing the shirt.
Yeah, well, I was gonna wear it for Halloween, the episode before Halloween, and now
Oh yeah, we're supposed to do a Halloween episode and I fucked it up.
we didn't
Sorry.
have it. So, and that's gonna be the other problem with tonight's discussion because I haven't watched Profumo in a week. So I'm sure that there's some subtleties that I've forgotten about that you guys will remind me of when we get there.
Is Eric wearing some Ghosts down south? He keeps pointing down low.
Do I?
I need a haircut. That's for sure.
Are you wearing Ghosts down south?
Yes. No, it's just a ghost town down there. Nothing.
Ghost was on the Stephen Colbert late show on the night before Halloween. I don't know if anybody caught it, but they were pretty cool. It was pretty interesting to see a primetime TV show with a guy dressed up with upside down crosses singing about Satan on TV. It was pretty amazing. I'm like, we've come a long way. And I mean that.
What show was he on?
He was on what the David Letterman show used to be.
Oh.
So
Okay.
Stephen Colbert took over Letterman show.
Late show or something?
No, it's the Late Show, right? Because the Late Show is like that
stuttered.
other guy. Oh, you just stuttered. Okay.
No. It's a late show.
Well, this is the late show.
Oh, yeah, especially tonight.
A week late.
I'm so sorry. We're in a different time zone. Good Lord. No, but yeah. So if anyone, because Eric is awesome, But if anyone else wants to be awesome, and you like Ghost, but you wish they were a little less produced and more black and deathy and even doomy, you should go to themurdercult.com and check out all of that great music and subscribe because it's so much fun. You get all sorts of goodies. That's as best as I could sell myself there. It was pretty shab.
Well, if I get the T-shirt in the mail,
yeah.
I'll wear it on the show. I promise.
Yay.
That was totally not appropriate sound effect. I was looking for something that would... there you go. I think that was closer.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's my life right there, folks.
If you want to hear a clip of the Murder Cult or Murder the Band, listen to Creep on the latest episode of Wrestling with Friends, where he came on to have some fun with us, and then I also played a little bit of his music.
Yay. It's really good.
Just a free sample.
Yeah.
I paid for it, though.
So anyhow, there you go. That's ka-ching. All right. No, but seriously. So Profumo. Let me tell you a little bit about the Profumo. Profumo, according to IMDb, this got a 5.3 rating.
Webster's Dictionary defines Profumo as... Sorry.
A scent, or smell, or odor. Which I still don't understand why that's the title of this film.
It definitely has an odor.
In case you guys are worried about this being an adult film, it is actually NC-17. So put your minds to rest and your Blu-ray players on play. The synopsis on IMDb says, a wife escapes her pressure-filled marriage only to have her husband haunt her literally and figuratively. That's like one of the worst.
How is he haunting?
He literally haunts her, you guys.
How does he literally haunt her? Isn't he still alive?
Because
it's like literally.
Well, no, she's having flashes of him, which again I think should get some points on the Giallo score.
No, she flashes him.
No, she keeps seeing him, like in mirrors and stuff, talking to her. That's why she did the whole hairbrush thing. And then all of a sudden, she thinks, he bit the big one, but then he didn't. And then he ran them off the road, and he thought she bit the big one, and she didn't. So that's the whole literally part. But yeah, that was a horrible fucking thing. So if I scroll down the page a little bit more.
I don't think she bit the big one. I think she did some other things to it, though.
She choked on it.
Yeah.
So, Laurie and Corby's marriage revolves around sexual games with menacing scripts and voyeurism. When she's finally had enough, she leaves for their beach house and gets involved with a gardener, the younger, androgynous Edward. But Corby is difficult to escape, physically and psychologically. He spies on the lovers, hires goons to assault Edward, and maintains a hold over Laurie's imagination. Taking advantage of Edward's soft looks, she dresses him as a woman and herself as a man in a plot to ensure and humiliate Corby in his wanton ways. Will the plan work? Do Laurie and Edward have a future? Written by jhaley at hotmail.com. Okay, a little further.
Credit where credit is due.
Yeah. That went a little further than maybe anyone wanted to know about. But basically, this movie is, I think, a time capsule, if you will. It's a moment in time that we will never get back again.
No.
A time when Argento could put out opera and his other contemporaries are putting out this. So, if anything, this just goes to show you how the Giallo genre kind of went the way of the buffalo. Because all of the fun, whodunits, and classiness got transformed into trash and pubic hair. I don't know another way to describe it. But when you look at what else came out that year and around that time, and then look at this, it gives you an appreciation that you wouldn't normally have when watching something that smells like this.
Right.
So, to explain how this movie starts off, and it starts off with a bang,
Ooh.
figuratively and literally.
Literally, guys.
Lori's wearing the biggest shoulder padded jacket that they had at the football store. And she comes into the giant, beautiful house to see dudes with chicks all over them, getting things done to them. So basically, we're led to believe that, I guess Corby is her husband's name. I didn't know that until just right now. But her and Corby have some, like, business where people come and get fondled by naked ladies and watch them do stuff to one another. Sounds like a pretty okay gig. Now, so she comes in, and we don't even know that they're married yet. He comes in, has her take her clothes off, puts a pillow over her face, and shoves a gun up her hoo-ha and tells her to spin the chamber, and then he pulls the trigger, and she's like, enough, I've had enough of your games, and she runs out. And then it turns out that they're married, and that was just like a weird little thing they were doing for no reason at all. But she's had enough because he almost blew out her front pipe, and she wants nothing more to do with him. So she tries to escape, and she goes and stays at a hotel and has flashes of when he was there with her and another girl, and she can't handle it anymore. She's having a hard time. Some dude who's sleazy and creepy hits on her in the most beautiful 80s bar I've ever seen. Miami Vice, eat your heart out. And then she realized that maybe, just maybe, her husband was behind this. So she goes upstairs to the guy's room and notices that the door's cracked. Somebody's watching. So right before her new lover was about to get his rocks off, she jumped up and kicked the door open and says, you guys can jerk each other off. I'm not. And then she goes to a beach house.
What a thing to say.
Yeah, and then she meets some guy who's pretty young. He's from Pasadena, where they shot Halloween. And she automatically assumes that Corby sent him there to spy on her. After a couple days of doing I don't know what because of how this movie's cut together, they end up making beautiful love in the sandy beach. And it was the most wonderful thing that ever happened to her. But she realized that she's perverted in the head because of Corby. So she tries to do him in the butthole with a brush. Quite violently. I think if she would have eased it in a little bit or spit on it, there would have been a little bit more love there.
Some water-based lube, at least.
Yeah, he's like, bitch, and he fucking hit her, and he ran out the door, and she cried. So she goes back to her husband, who tried to do stuff to her with a fork, wasn't happy about it, and goes back to find her lover. And then the guy follows her. Then there's a fight. He hits him with a bat. All this crazy shit happens. She thinks he's dead. The blonde guy thinks he's dead. They pack their shit to leave, and then he's not there anymore. They're driving away. He runs them off the road. Gasoline's pouring. She's like, get out of the car, get down. And she lights the car. Her little tiny bug blows up. Now, the whole time I'm thinking, if this bitch is so rich, why is she in that shitty bug? But now I know why, because they had to blow the car up. So that's why she had that shit car.
Very smart.
Anyway, yeah, so then we are now 47 minutes into the movie, and she says, hey, Edward, I have something to tell you. It's called The Plot. My husband is going to try to keep me So we got to do something. And he's like, okay, sure, whatever. I love you because we've been having sex and stuff. So she's like, you know what? You would make a beautiful girl. She dresses him up like a girl. He's like, fuck this shit. We're going back to California. She's like, okay. Then they get beat up. She gets kidnapped. There's a chase scene that Chris did not put on Giallo's score, which I'm very upset about. And he chases the car down and throws a fire extinguisher at the windshield. Shatter! She runs out of the car and pushes the alarm. Things are going off. Things are nuts. He grabs her. They run away. He gets beat up again, and he's like, you're right. We have to get him. We got to do it. So then they concoct their elaborate plan of boy, girl, boy to try to trick Corby into getting them alone so she could shoot him. I think she could have just shot him from the room when he was spying on
humiliate him first.
She had to humiliate him.
When was the chase scene?
When they beat him up, they were going to leave, and she got kidnapped.
Okay.
And they took her down to the garage, and he chased after him. It was a foot chase. I have notes here, sir. Well, long story short, I'm going to ruin the movie for you now.
Couldn't do it.
Corby ruins Edward's makeup and just demasculates him even more. Takes Lori into the back room, gives her what for in the tailpipe. She gets all pissed off but kind of into it, and he's like punching her in the kidney. She gets out again and shoots him a bunch. They drive to the airport, which you didn't get points for either. Airport, I think, is good enough as an airplane.
No.
And she's like,
gotta be an airplane.
No, I beg to differ. They shot at an airport.
It says right in here,
Official
airplane taking off or landing.
Yeah.
Which you could see plenty in the background. You could. I
did like when he threw the fire extinguisher at the windshield. That was pretty cool.
That was awesome. He's a very strapping young lad.
I kept thinking about Baywatch. He looked like one of the Baywatch girls.
That's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Running in slow.
Anyway, she says, "Get out of here." He's like, "Come with me," and she's like, "No, I don't love you. Leave." And so he leaves, and then the movie ends. But the biggest thing here that I think was a missed opportunity for this film was when Homeboy was giving it to her in the tailpipe. He said to her, "Why do you want to get away from me? You're the one who made me this way." And then she understood that she was the one who was perverted and fucked up and bizarre and profumoed. So the whole thing here is that she was really the villain the whole time.
Uh-huh.
And they never really get into how they got into this business or when they met. So I think if they would have elaborated on that a little bit more, that reveal could have been a lot more punchy.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling Eric and Chris don't really think a whole lot in this movie happened other than Uglies getting bumped. So I had to make sure that you guys know that. Secondly, Chris, what did this movie get on the Giallo score?
35, but I'll give you the point for the chase scene if you really want to have it. So.
Yay! There we go.
Yeah.
And there's an accomplice point. There should be 4 points for an accomplice.
You have to take into consideration here that the whole thing that goes like all of these points that get assigned to these films are based on the fact that there is a murderer and an identity and a crime to be solved, and none of that is going on. So, an accomplice. What kind of an accomplice are we talking about? An accomplice
blonde guy.
for what? But what was the idea behind an accomplice is okay. There was a murderer who was murdering people, and then there was another person who was murdering people, and the two of them got confused as the wrong killer. Excuse me, just for a moment, please. I'm not finished. There's two ways that you can get points for that level. One of them is that there are two murderers that aren't working together, but that just happen to be connected in the movie. Or you can have a killer, like in Four Flies and Grey Velvet. You had the killer, and then you had the guy who was helping the killer with some of the staged murderers. Or in Bird, you had the killer, and then you had the husband who was also helping. In this particular case, I can't give points for an accomplice because what were they accomplishing? What were they providing accomplishing for?
He
Like
was
what?
a part of her nasty plan.
To not murder anyone.
You never know. Maybe he was going to do the murdering. What about mistaken identity?
Why, just because the guy dresses up as a girl, that's mistaken identity?
And the girl dresses up as a guy, and they trick the doorman and get in.
So I'll direct everyone to gialloscore.com/criteria.
Criteria.
And there are very specific definitions of all these rules, and we can talk about mistaken identity. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
During the course of the film, the police identify the wrong person, and the remaining characters are falsely led to believe that the threat of death has passed due to the capture or death of the suspect. Now,
well, I also think it should get 10 points for avoiding capture.
That can't
because
apply
they
here.
Captured.
Oh,
but the cops weren't after anybody. There was no cops. There's nobody who's trying to be captured.
So are you fighting over having this be a 35 or a 45? Because I really think that's just splitting hairs.
A 35 or a 63.
63 you want. I don't know. There's to go to appeals court.
I would basically have to call and tell the hosting company to take down the site if this film got a 63. I couldn't live with myself.
We need a J-bag.
Yeah, we do. Oh boy. Yeah.
Okay. So
well, can I ask this question? Yeah. Now that I almost lost my train of thought. What the fuck was it? Don't you think though that the inferring kind of underlying metaphor thing was that she's really the one who's the depraved, sick, and disgusting person who forced her crazy fetishes on her husband. That's the theory. And so that's why he said, "You made me this way." So is that kind of like the typical 80s misogynistic cop-out, like, you dressed that way, so it's okay if I rape you kind of thing? You know what I mean? Did the filmmakers do that?
But we don't know if it was a thing where it was like her idea to start the business. If it was her idea to do the thing with the gun.
That's true. You did make that point that there's no real background here. And
yeah, I think it's just a theory at this point. She was evil the whole time, just like Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars. No one really knows the answer. We might never know the answer.
Well, I mean, let me say for one thing that Florence Guerin is absolutely gorgeous.
She's a babe.
I mean, unbelievably, one of the reasons why I made it through the film is because she's pretty much in every scene, and in every scene she's naked, or she's got a gun up her cooch, or she's got a fork, or she's got, what was the other thing? A foot. She wears lingerie. She's in various positions. And then when the movie got to the point where she looked a lot more like, who does she look like?
Winona Ryder?
Yeah, Winona Ryder. And it's the hair really and the makeup really can change the way a person is perceived, obviously. But she did look like Winona Ryder. And the husband, he was the guy from Torso, who was one of the two motorcycle guys. That's the only time I can remember seeing him. I think he was in The Fifth Chord as well. So, every time the husband would pop on, I'm like, I know I've seen that guy somewhere, and I went and looked him up.
Yeah.
And that's where he was. That's where he came from.
I'm just glad Edward's not in anything else. I can't look at his Beauty and the Beast face anymore.
He's in My Own Private Idaho.
He looked like a lion.
Yeah. But then I thought if her lover from the hotel had worn her shoulder pad suit, he would have looked a lot like David Byrne in a Talking Heads video. He's had that kind of flat unibrow, weird
Yes.
face.
Well, she was also in Black Venus, Faceless, and Demon 6.
What did she do with a black penis?
You broke up. What did you say? Say
Black
that again.
Venus.
Oh,
Black
Black
Venus.
Venus. I'm sorry.
Black
Yeah,
penis.
she was in another one of these kind of movies.
Have you guys seen Demon 6?
No. I noticed that. She's in that one, right? She's in
Mhm.
Demon 6.
Is that when they just started naming movies demons
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with the first one or two?
I have no idea.
It had like a different title, and then when they released it on video, they just tacked on like a Demons 7 or Demons whatever, Demons 12.
Yeah.
I'm making a face because I'm at the Coke bottles, the Coke can scene. And I just can't
Isn't
even
that just
look
a
at
waste of delicious Coca-Cola?
it. Ugh.
They're going to be all sticky, and she's going to
Yeah.
get a yeast infection, and no one's worried about this except
No one
me.
ever thinks
That's
about what happens afterwards when you got to
She's
clean up
going to
all the
need
whipped
a
cream.
big old thing of yogurt
Uh-huh.
to take care of that infection. This is
Okay.
disgusting.
All right, so I mean, maybe here's the case that I can make, and whether we choose to accept it or whether anybody chooses to accept it or not is fine. But I mean, I don't consider this to be a Giallo, so that's kind of why a lot of the rules didn't apply. Like, again, the idea of the points being applied to the basic idea that there's some sort of a mystery to be solved. I mean, what was the mystery? The mystery was
Well,
that
I feel-
she was the one. I mean,
I
that's
feel
kind
like
of
that Giallo is a Giallo based on how the films were pre-Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Like this isn't any different than One on Top of the Other or uh, practically any Carol Baker movie from the late 60s.
right.
You know, it's like a couple in forbidden love getting into trouble and somebody dies. You know, it's like, it's not your black-coated, hat-gloved killer body count movie, which I normally really like a lot. But this is just like, it's like an older style. Like if One on Top of the Other was made in 87, it would have probably been very close to that.
Right. But at the beginning of One on Top of Another, and we did cover that one, right? I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
The woman dies, and then the rest of, at least the middle part of the movie, they're trying to figure out, what's going on, and then all of a sudden, reminiscent of Vertigo, she shows up in a blonde wig, and she looks exactly like the wife, and then it turns out, that this whole scam is going on. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that movie got a high score either. So
I do think it's hard for people to grab hold of this one as being a Giallo, like what Chris is saying. I myself struggled with it a little bit. I mean, it gets a couple little things here and there, like the spiral staircase. I think I even saw some J&B being
yes,
enjoyed.
they're definitely a JMB bottle.
But the big ones, yeah, it's hard to grab a hold of and say that these have the big staples of a Giallo film. But when you think about it, like there are some parallels. I mean, the fashion's a little bit different in 1987 than it was in 1972.
True, absolutely.
Lots of pale pastels instead of bright red and yellows and golds. But it still had that. I mean, it still had that very fashion forward, or not fashion forward, just fashion focused. Music played a big part, even though the soundtrack in this movie was The Pits. That
It was
shrill
terrible.
saxophone.
You didn't like that song that goes, explicit lyrics. Explicit lyrics.
Well, it did kind of remind me of like 80s porno music, right? Like Kenny
Drills
G.
a hole in your ear.
Yeah. Now, I read somewhere that somebody compared one of the scenes at the end to De Palma's Body Double, which I've never seen, but is that kind of what they were going for there? Is that what Body Double is all about? Like a man dressed up like a woman? I don't know. I didn't see that film, so.
Well, it sounds more like a spoiler with Dress to Kill, if that's what you're going to go at. like just people dressing up like a girl.
Uh-huh.
Like if you look at the plot keywords, it's escape, marriage, beach house, transsexual, and female nudity.
I saw Beach House on there. I was worried that like some middle-aged postmenopausal woman was gonna be like, "Hey, want to watch some Beach House movies."
Yeah, imagine if they've had the Wind Beneath My Wings on this
I
movie.
watched Beaches, and then I watched Profumo. No, but like I found this movie on a Giallo list on IMDb originally, and then when I went to one of my favorite sites to look for movies under Giallo, it was there.
Huh.
So,
Well, I found.
I know you said it just comes up on porn sites.
Yeah, I mean, if you search Google for Profumo Bazaar, because if you just search for Profumo, you're going to get Italian websites for perfume. So if you search Profumo Bazaar, most of the the first thing you get obviously is an IMDb listing. Then you get a bunch of YouTube clips of the film, and then you get another bunch of YouTube or other websites that are 18 and over adult video clips. There is one review on some sort of Netflix blog, and then there's one at X Hamster, which is a porn site. There's one
I've
at
never heard of any of these.
besterotica.com. Just clips of the film, you know.
So what did the Netflix bloggers say? Did they like it?
Annybunny.com.
Oh.
The Netflix blogger did like it. Liked it a lot. Did you write that?
There you go.
That 13-year-old boy sure liked that movie. He snuck into his house. I don't know. I think
Like this movie's on fucking Netflix.
There's a Netflix and Beyond. It's called netflixcommunity.ning.com, and the reviewer is Inspector Capuana.
Inspector what?
Inspector Capuana, which sounds familiar.
Inspector? Yeah.
It sounds like.
Is that what she calls it?
This movie's got to be good.
He gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Okay, above
That's
average.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, basically, Chris didn't like it. Eric, what do you think?
Well, like Chris said, I managed to sit through the whole thing, so that already gives it at least 1 star. And I mean, yeah, it's got a beautiful woman. It's Italian, so I think that's another reason why people associate it with Giallo. It's got all that fun, weird perspective on certain things. It's over the top, sleazy. I mean, it's got that NC-17 rating, which is kind of rare, I guess, nowadays. But back then, it was always kind of fun to stumble upon one of those. It has all the little touches, like we mentioned, the little things that I think also people associate it with Giallo. But I think overall, I was really missing that murder element. It being charged the whole time by this. They have to hurry and find who this killer is or why things are going on. But really, it's just this isolated story of 3 or 4 people.
But see, you have to learn to wait. Didn't you get that out of the phone?
I can't. In this day and age, I don't have time to wait. I gotta go.
I mean, even if it's not, I mean, surely we all understand that the term Giallo is loosely translated from these books that were written quite a while ago, and they weren't all murder mysteries, but I think that, again, we refer back to Al and our Italian correspondents and some of our European friends. The term Giallo typically means some sort of a mystery, right? So, again, my question is, what was mysterious about this? I mean,
it was thrilling.
It was.
There were some parts where you're like kind of trying to figure out, is this guy really there? Is she having visions? Is
driving that car, and then she's like, "That's my car," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
And that's
The mystery
that's a really good point, because in the very beginning, like Creep was talking about, when she goes to the hotel because she's had enough, and she meets the guy in the bar, and then at one point there's somebody that's like spying on her. I was like, okay,
we have some POV shots.
maybe something's going to happen here. Maybe she's going to get killed, and then we're going to find out like what the mystery is, or maybe there's some sort of something going on. But it never, like, every time you were like, well, I wonder if it's something mysterious going on. It really was, no, it's just the husband again. He's there again. I didn't necessarily get the idea. I was going to say, I didn't really necessarily get the idea that he was a vision that was kept showing up in her mind. I just kept thinking that he just kept showing up because they were at their own beach house.
There were 3 scenes, I think, in the movie where she would have a flash of him. Like when she first goes into the hotel, she opens the door and sees him on the bed with a girl, and he's like, "You're late," and she goes, and then she opens her eyes and nobody's there. So like there were these like little moments that she kept having. But other than that, I mean, the voyeuristic nature of this movie, I think, really lends itself to the genre, and it might not have been hit well out of the park, but it has its merit.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think I'd ever watch it again. I'm not saying it's the worst film I've ever seen. I am watching it right now, at 2x speed, which actually makes it better. It's not the worst film ever. I think I probably, if I had to choose between, see, this is hard. I had to choose between this and Sister of Ursula.
That'd be so hard.
I think I'm picking, I don't know, just for the sake that's, Sister of Ursula at least appeals to me from a Giallo standpoint, because there's a killer and there's some suspense and there's some stalking, but it's quite a silly film. Whereas this one, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to watch either one, but if you had a gun to my head, I'd probably. It's hard because I could just watch this with the sound turned off and watch Florence, whatever her name is.
Yeah, I could have done without pretty much the entire middle with her and Eddie going back and forth, fighting, making up, sticking hairbrushes in, things getting awkward, playing Simply Red on the jukebox. Just all that I could have just, I don't know, saved for another day. But
would you rather watch this again, Eric, or Sister of Ursula?
I would rather watch this.
Wow.
There were there was more pubic hair in Sister of Ursula, but there was a prettier girl in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was more different hair.
Different kinds of hairs.
Movie,
yeah.
But there was a lot of the same hairstyle in this one. For crying out loud. But that's okay. This movie isn't for everybody, but that's all right, because on our next episode, we're going to crack into those top 3 and which one has won the bottom spot. And don't say the guy with the hairbrush in his keister.
Yeah, really, it's you can say that it won the bottom spot because even getting the 3rd place is still pretty big, because it's 3 big choices.
What she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what Florence said, or whatever her name is. So I think number 3 was, or next time we get together, it will be Tenebrae.
Nice.
The Chris keeps talking about.
Is this your first time?
It's my first time.
Oh my god, dude! I'm so jealous.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna love it.
I'm so jealous.
Please don't use a gun on the first time.
And please keep yourself quarantined from reading anything about it, so that you're totally surprised when you watch the film.
Just watch it right now.
Yeah, just go watch it now.
Just watch it before. Yeah, just pause, you guys.
Turn off this podcast and go watch it.
Creep. I think at this point, I'm pretty sure I remember Eric's all-time favorite from all of these podcasts being Torso. Is that right?
Let me consult my list. Yeah, I think that's still in the top spot.
Creep, would you say that he might like Tenebrae more than Torso?
I think there's definitely going to be some moving and shaking going on in his top 10.
Yeah. Well, hey,
For
listen,
sure.
the problem is we're hyping it up so much he's probably gonna hate it.
Yeah. It's like Titanic.
I will say that I prepared myself by taking advantage of a recent sale on Arrow Video Blu-rays and saw that Tenebrae was among the
Cool.
discounted ones, so I
Ooh.
grabbed that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to talk
Is
about
the other
Tenebrae.
cover the girl in the... You know how Arrow does those alternate covers? Is it the
Yeah.
one where she's through the sheet?
That was when they first released it on DVD, I believe. I think now that it's on Blu-ray, it's got a little bit of a different image. Trying to think of. I know I just looked at it.
Is it the one with the girl laying on top of the ripped page?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
I think it's
Okay.
this. Wait, let me share my screen for all you girls
It's
and
like
guys
it's
here.
like mostly black, and then in the corner is like a white. She's like laying on something. She's all bloody, and then
Nice.
the Tenebrae has like slashes through the title. Yeah, there it is. Sort of.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
okay.
It's
I
so
think
cool.
the other title is better. Or the
Yeah.
other
I know I've asked this
I
question
actually
before.
have this movie on a shitty Mills Creek box set with it called Unsane.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen that version, Chris?
Yep. Yeah. In fact, we'll get into this, I guess, next week. But that was the very first version of the film that I saw, except for the fact that the scenes that were deleted from that cut were in Dario Argento's World of Horror, and I had actually seen that first. So the scene
Okay.
with the axe and the arm dismemberment that's so
Yeah.
basically so famous at this point, that was not in the Unsane copy at all. And the Unsane copy was obviously a pan and scan, 4:3 ratio one. So when I think that when the time I finally got to see the film in its uncut glory from start to finish was when they put out the laser disc. I forget who put it out. Somebody put it out on Laserdisc, and I had a Laserdisc player at the time. So, and I love it. I love the music. Oh man!
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure if I speak for everybody here, but all three of these next movies we're going to do all hold a really special place in my heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they all came into my life at a really special time, I guess. So it's going to be good.
I agree. I think that these, with the exception of maybe, I don't know if this is my top three of all of my favorite Jolly, but it's pretty close. Like Tenebrae, then week after that we're doing Strains Vice, and then the 50, the number 50 is Deep Red, and or Profundo Rosso. But I had a question, and I think I've asked this before, but I'm going to ask it again. The Arrow Video Blu-rays. Do you need a special player to play them in America?
Yeah, you need to get some kind of a region-free player, either that's been hacked beforehand or that allows you to punch in a code to switch
Okay.
between region. I think with Blu-rays it's A and B.
Is that the only thing? Is it just the region coding? So it's
Yep.
not, because I remember when DVDs and laser discs, if you got those from Europe, they were in PAL format and not NTSC
Yeah.
format. But I don't think that
It'll-
matters anymore, right?
No, it doesn't. It'll still play it. You just have to realize that the runtime's a little different. So this has happened to me so many times. I'll go look at the runtime before I put in a movie that I have in PAL format, and then suddenly it's done like 10 minutes early or something. And I thought I missed a bunch of footage. I thought that I got some shitty cut up version, but really it was uncut. It just plays like a smidge faster.
I see. But I think Arrow does have some U.S.
Yeah, they've moved in the U.S. now, so I think their What Have You Done to Solange release in December that's coming out.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be U.S. and
Yes.
UK.
Yeah, that's cool. Very
Well,
good.
right
I'm looking
on.
forward to that one.
Well,
But yeah, I hope,
everybody
you're gentle with me
enjoyed.
before I get into my first time with Tenebrae, and we should thank our listeners because they were the ones that chose this next 3 for us. So you came out.
Yeah,
You guys
absolutely.
did super.
And a special shout out to Magnus
Dave Chappelle.
Pranoff Larson, who suggested that we do the designated victim. It only got 1 vote. All the rest of the films that got votes were fake. Specifically, The Monkey with the Ass of Fire, Blood and Black Bart, and The Cicada Buzzes Twice. But I think
classic.
But I think that we should probably say that once we're done with these big 3, that the next one should be Designated Victim, just as a special honorable mention to the one guy who came in and said, you know what, I'm gonna go against the grain here.
Voting Ralph Nader.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna Bernie Sanders this bitch.
Oh yeah, Bernie. Feel the burn.
I think Bernie is getting more than 1 vote, though. So
I'm feeling the burn after watching this movie. It's a medicine.
That's gonorrhea. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, everybody. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.